1. Learning a foreign language. The most difficult thing for a person to accept when he begins to learn a foreign language is that the foreign language is so very different from his own. Of course, he expects to find some differences. It may sometimes seem to him that some of the differences are completely unnecessary. A person's native language has a powerful influence on him. After all, he has been speaking his language since before he can remember. His family, his friends, even complete strangers, everyone around him uses that language. Under such circumstances, it is only natural that a person would have the feeling that his language is the most beautiful, the most perfect, the most logical of all language. Therefore, the first thing that one must learn as he begins to study a foreign language is that each language is the best possible language for the people who use it. We would not expect a person from India to think and act exactly like a person from France. And we should not expect the languages of India to be exactly like the French language. After this fact has been understood and accepted, many of the problems in language learning disappear. There are other attitudes which you will have to develop in order to learn a language successfully. The most important of these is that learning a language requires constant practice. You must not think that because you have seen or heard a word or phrase 1 time, or 5 times or 10 times, that you really know it and know how to use it. You must be ready to repeat new lessons again and again until you can really use them, automatically, without having to think about them. Many students have the idea that if they can memorize long list of vocabulary words they will be learning the language. Learning a language is much more than that. In the early stage of studying a language, we must learn more important things, such as pronunciation and grammatical structure. After the student can use the grammatical structure, he can then begin to increase his vocabulary. Learning new vocabulary without knowing the grammatical structure of the language is something like trying to build a house without using a plan. Another important thing to remember is that it is not necessary to begin with a lot of reading and writing in the foreign language. Reading and writing present very special problems which may complicate learning for the beginning student. The most important thing of all in learning a language is to have patience. If you keep working steadily, day after day, constantly practicing the language and using it at every opportunity, you will learn to speak a language well. 2. There are more than 3,000 languages in the world today, but only about 6 are major languages of the world. 2/3 of the world's population speak those 6 languages. More than 300 million people speak English as their first or native languages. Another 300 million speak it as a second language. No one knows how many people speak it as foreign language. Chinese is the only language with more speakers than English. This is because of the huge population of China, more than 1 billion people. English is the native or official language on 1/5 of the land area of the world. It is spoken in North America, Great Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. In South Africa and India it is one of the official languages. More people study English than any other language. In many countries the textbooks in universities are in English. Many university classes are taught in English even though the native language is not English. English is the language of international communication. It is the language of international business. Research and science. More than 3/4 of the world's mail is written in English. More than 3/5 of the world's radio station use English. More than half of the scientific and research journals are in English. Most other languages have borrowed many English words. Why did English become the international language? In the middle of the 19th century, French was the international language. Then Britain became very powerful in the world. England started colonies in North America and India in the 17th century. By 1900 England also had colonies in other parts of Asia, Africa, and the South Pacific. The people in the colonies had to use English. Slowly it became more important than French internationally. After the Second World War, the United States became powerful, and even more people began to learn English. Is English a good international language? It has more words than any other languages. The grammar is simpler than in the other major languages. However, English spelling is difficult. Foreigners all have trouble spelling English. So do native speakers. Since 1880, people have invented over 50 artificial languages. No one speaks them as a native language. However, none of them has ever become popular. Some people don't want to study English, but it is the international language. There is no way to change that now.